Now joined by Sanet Madonsela, a political analyst, and Dr. Mathebula, Think Foundation's CEO. Good afternoon to both of you. Thank you very much for your time. If I may start with you, Sanet, just what you make of it all.
I think that the announcement was quite abrupt. I don't think that a lot of people anticipated it. I think there was a lot of speculation about what it could possibly have been, but I don't think that people could have anticipated that it would be the resignation of Floyd. And I don't think that people would have anticipated that he would actually leave the EFF to join the MK party. So I think that was the biggest surprise of the day.
From your vantage point, Dr. Mathebula?
Look, for me, thank you. For me, I wouldn't say it was a surprise. It was just an alignment of a new movement of the people that are outside the ANC, that are packaging themselves as a revolutionary movement better than the ANC. And I think the MK party needed the skills that Floyd Shivambu had of organizing an organization from scratch. And I think Floyd took the opportunity, and he's going to use the skills that he has applied. I mean, literally, Floyd and Julius, they built an EFF brand to the level that it is in 10 years, and that EFF brand started to compete successfully against bigger brands, almost killed the Cope, rendered others ineffective. So I don't see it as a surprise. I see it another move by Jacob Zuma.
But Madonsela, I mean, wherever he's going, is going to be of value. That's according, of course, to Julius Malema. I suppose it corroborates what Dr. Mathebula just said.
I do think that that would be the case. I do think that he has a lot to offer. I think over the years, the EFF has become synonymous with Julius Malema, and I don't necessarily know whether the party itself would have voted for Floyd to maybe become president. So I think in terms of his own personal development, I think that this was quite strategic. I think that the party, the MK party, did need a leader, someone who was decisive, someone who knows the political landscape of the country. And I think in that sense, he would be able to fill that vacuum and provide the party with the kind of direction that it does need.
Do you share that thought, Dr. Mathebula, that even if he tried, Floyd Shivambu would never have beaten Julius Malema?
Look, yeah, he wouldn't have, because Julius Malema is brand EFF. And in MK party, the position of the president is as open as the absence of Mr. Khumalo, because Jacob Zuma is on his way out. We're sitting with a situation that only the ANC and the MK will have a very vicious succession battle. In the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa is on his way out, not because they don't want him, but because his term is over. In MK, Jacob Zuma is on his way out, not because they don't want him, but because age and health might dictate that condition. So Floyd has a career prospect in MK than in the EFF, and it's a good career move for Floyd, but also it's a good ideological move for the progressive, what do they call themselves? Progressive caucus, just to bring stability there, because there's just no stability in MK. And with Floyd being there, the risk of the ANC has exponentially grown. They now have got to deal with a person that is able to articulate, conceptualize, and put something into a program that people can follow and be able to monitor it. He's good at that. The SACP knows what he did for them. The ANC Youth League knows what it did for them. The EFF can account what it did for them. And I think and I've seen a lot of young men that are moving into into MK, and I'm talking good organizers that are getting into the MK. MK is going to be a risky affair for the ANC, and the alliance between the ANC and I'm calling it the Democratic Alliance, Boyo, not the Democratic Alliance as a party, but as a concept, that what the DA as a political party has done, it has taken the ANC into a democratic alliance with. So they're in an alliance to protect this democracy, and the others are in an alliance to fight the establishment. It's going to be an interesting and fascinating era of politics in South Africa.
I remember this one year, Ms. Madonsela, when the ANC Youth League was having a conference at Galaga Estate. And on this June 16th, they were about to have elections. Jacob Zuma was the president of the country at the time. Orlando Stadium was the venue for the official commemoration of June 16. And it was filled. I mean, the stadium was full for this June 16 commemorative rally, which was organized, of course, by the state. And Jacob Zuma chose to stay at Galaga Estate. And you may remember Jacob Zuma, Floyd Shivambu mumbling something that Jacob Zuma couldn't hear. And then came that saying, "Ukhuluma nami baba." Because they were obviously, I mean, trying to shout him down. This was at a time when the Youth League was rebelling against Jacob Zuma. And here we are now. That same Floyd Shivambu is going to, in all probability, play a very crucial leadership role in the party. Proof, perhaps, that there are no permanent enemies in politics.
I don't think that that's the case. I think one of the things about politics is that we will never quite understand the dynamics that exist between different political leaders. I think the time when Julius and them were part of the Youth League was quite vibrant. It was definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I think that they had some really what they would call revolutionary ideas, which I think a lot of people could resonate with. And I think with all of the changes that have been happening, and I think with all that they've managed to achieve in terms of the EFF, I think that it was just a matter of time before he would be selected by another political party to possibly head it. And I think that this possibly is that way for Julius to say, okay, go on, you move into this different political party. But also I think that the former president is quite strategic in whom he would choose to actually rule or take lead in terms of this political party. So I think that there might be a definite bigger picture in terms of what to anticipate for the MK. But I also think sometimes younger people remind you of yourself. And I think that maybe years later, they managed to rekindle that relationship, and that could possibly have led to this.
Dr. Mathebula, a good career move, I mean, for Floyd, as you said, and a good catch, no doubt, for the MK party. But where does that leave the EFF? Is this the beginning of the end, as some people have suggested?
Look, the EFF will still be a factor, but it will be a 10% and less factor in our politics. It will not grow beyond that unless they raise another Floyd. But on this thing about the conference at Galaga Estate, yes, that was a defining conference that the ANC Youth League went into, because if you remember, they refused to even give the resolutions of that conference a hearing in the NEC. And that's how the EFF was built. Similarly, MK party Zuma claims at the conference of 2022, he wanted to speak and he was not allowed to speak. There are similarities of how these organizations have all developed, but what the ANC needs to do to fight, to manage this thing is just to consolidate its structures and ignore what is happening in the opposition and plan how to take decisions to do that. But Jacob Zuma has done a masterstroke here in terms of the game that he's playing. He moved the right piece, and let's see what's going to happen. I thought Tope was the last piece, but this one of Floyd Shivambu,
One final thought, Ms. Madonsela. Of course, I mean, the big test is going to be whether Floyd Shivambu takes the MK party forward. But there's a big if, because he is, again, going to be in the shadow of somebody, as was the case in the EFF. He's going to permanently live in the shadow of Jacob Zuma, isn't he?
I think that you could look at it in that way, or I think alternatively, if you would like to be more positive or optimistic, you can look at it as a master tactician actually teaching you the game. I think that Zuma has been phenomenal in terms of like the political landscape, in terms of the kind of moves that he would make. And I think Floyd learning firsthand from someone like that could be like to his own benefit. I mean, the man might be controversial, but he definitely knows how to play the game of politics. And I think that by him learning and actually having this new political party that is just like a few months old would give him that opportunity to rebrand himself and actually show the kind of leadership skills that he has. And I think that it would have been more challenging if Floyd had actually taken over the EFF from Julius Malema, as opposed to taking over the MK party from Zuma. So I think definitely a lot to look forward to. I think it would be interesting to see how he manages the political party and also how he consolidates his support base within that political party. But I think that they are definitely very excited to have him.
Ms. Sanet Madonsela, Dr. Mathebula, thanks to both of you for agreeing to come on.